In the early years of the Second World War, Japan believed its infantry was unmatched in discipline, skill, and firepower. Their soldiers carried the Arisaka rifle, a weapon they considered accurate, strong, and perfectly suited for battle. Japanese commanders were convinced that no opposing army would have a faster or more effective standard rifle. And for a while, they were right. But in 1942, when Japanese troops first faced American forces in the Pacific, a shocking discovery shattered their confidence. The United States infantry wasn't armed with a bolt-action rifle like most of the world. They carried something entirely different, something faster, more deadly, and built to dominate the battlefield. The M1 Garand. This semi-automatic rifle immediately changed everything Japan thought it knew about infantry combat. Before the war, most nations, including Japan, believed that a soldier should fire carefully aimed shots, one at a time. The Arisaka followed this philosophy. After every shot, the Japanese soldier had to manually lift the bolt, pull it back, eject the spent cartridge, load the next round, and push the bolt forward before firing again. It demanded time, movement, and absolute focus. On the paper, the Arisaka was tough and precise. It used powerful ammunition and rarely failed in the harsh jungles of the Pacific. But war is not fought on paper. In real combat, speed decided survival. When American Marines first opened fire with the M1 Garand, Japanese soldiers heard something they had never expected. A continuous storm of shots coming from just one man. Bang, bang, bang. 8 shots fired rapidly without the shooter ever touching a bolt or interrupting his aim. That moment, Japanese infantry realized they were facing a weapon years ahead of its time. The M1 Garand gave the average American soldier the firepower of an entire small squad. Its gas-operated system automatically loaded the next round after each shot. A trained Marine could unleash accurate rounds at a speed Japanese troops simply could not match. Even if both sides spotted each other at the same time, the American had a terrifying advantage: the chance to fire first, fire faster, and keep firing without stopping. And the shock didn't end there. Japanese commanders noticed something else. American soldiers remained standing behind their rifles longer. They fired from defensive positions with confidence, not fear. Why? Because the Garand's design made it easy to control the recoil and stay on target. Meanwhile, Japanese troops struggled to compete, cycling their bolts as bullets rained down around them. Every ambush, every jungle clash, every beach landing, the result was the same. The Garand made American infantry unexpectedly fast and overwhelmingly lethal. The more battles Japan fought, the more alarming the reports became. One Japanese intelligence officer wrote that Americans fired without pause, like continuous thunder. Others described U.S. riflemen as if they were carrying automatic weapons, not infantry rifles. The truth was undeniable. The M1 Garand wasn't just a rifle. It was a revolution in warfare. Even General George S. Patton called it the greatest battle implement ever devised. And across the Pacific, Japan was learning that the hard way. By the time American forces launched deeper assaults from Guadalcanal to the Mariana Islands, the impact of the Garand became devastatingly clear. U.S. rifle squads moved aggressively, using rapid fire to pin Japanese defenders down before they could respond. The traditional Japanese infantry tactics, built around charging into battle with bayonets and overwhelming spirit, began to fail against this new level of firepower. Every bullet the Garand fired didn't just strike the enemy. It shattered old beliefs about how wars were supposed to be fought. Japanese soldiers realized that bravery alone could no longer close the distance between them and an American rifle, because that rifle spoke faster and louder. By 1943, whispers spread across Japanese units that their Arisaka, once a symbol of strength, now felt outdated and slow. Their faith in the rifle that served their empire for decades was replaced with an unsettling fear Maybe Japan had underestimated the industrial power and innovation of the United States. The Pacific War was becoming a test of technology, manufacturing, and evolution, and the Americans had brought a weapon built for the future. The M1 Garand wasn't just winning gunfights. It was shaping the outcome of the entire war. Part 2 continues as the clash intensifies, when Japan races to catch up with America's unstoppable rifle dominance. As the war pushed deeper into 1943 and 1944, Japan's shock over the M1 Garand only grew. Every new island battle became another brutal reminder that the United States infantry had evolved beyond traditional warfare. The Garand was not merely a rifle. It was a symbol of a nation whose factories, engineers, and soldiers were fully committed to victory. Japanese troops soon realized that the Americans were trained to exploit every advantage this weapon offered. U.S. Marines advanced in small but coordinated fire teams, each soldier delivering steady, rapid fire that kept Japanese defenders pinned behind cover. A single Garand rifleman could neutralize multiple opponents before they managed to load their next round. And in the chaos of battle, hesitation meant death. The Japanese military tried desperately to adapt. Commanders urged their men to close the distance quickly, turning every firefight into close combat where their bayonets and bravery could shine. But that required crossing open ground. And open ground belonged to the Garand. American riflemen fired with confidence from foxholes, trenches, and the darkness of the jungles. 8 powerful .30-06 rounds left the barrel at over 2,800 feet per second. The moment a Japanese soldier stood to charge, those bullets found him long before he reached the American line. One Japanese survivor later described the sound of the Garand as unbearable. Not a rhythm, not a burst, but a relentless strike of thunder that punished every mistake. To him, it felt as if American soldiers never stopped firing because for the first time in history, they didn't have to. And still, the brutality increased. The Pacific Islands were unforgiving. Rain-soaked mud, thick foliage, volcanic rock. Every environment challenged weapon reliability. But the Garand continued to operate, even when caked with dirt or soaked in sweat and seawater. Meanwhile, Japanese Arisaka rifles, though durable, could not deliver the same speed or volume of fire. Every American squad carried the future of battlefield tactics. Semi-automatic rifles supported by automatic BAR gunners and devastating machine gun positions. Japan had courage. America had firepower. Bold, modern, and overwhelming. But there was something even more unsettling for Japan. When American soldiers ran out of ammunition, the Garand's iconic ping signaled the rifle was empty. Japanese troops were told to exploit this moment and attack. Many tried. Almost none survived. Because in reality, U.S. riflemen reloaded with astonishing speed. A fresh clip slammed in. The bolt snapped forward, and death continued without delay. Japan realized far too late. The ping wasn't a weakness. It was the sound of American dominance continuing. By mid-1944, during the battles for Saipan, Tinian, and Guam, Japan faced the harsh truth. Its infantry doctrine, rooted in older wars, was collapsing. Thousands of Japanese soldiers fell convinced that spirit could defeat bullets. But the Garand proved otherwise. Reports from the front reached Tokyo, each one more alarming than the last. Americans shoot faster than any rifleman should. Our soldiers cannot match their rate of fire. One U.S. squad equals the firepower of a platoon. Japan began limited experiments to modernize their own weapons, hoping to produce semi-automatic rifles. But their industry was strained, bombed, and blocked by a U.S. naval blockade. Their engineers were skilled, but materials and time were gone. No new rifle could fix the past. The Arisaka, once a point of national pride, became a reminder of a fatal miscalculation. Japan had invested heavily in expanding its empire, but not enough in preparing for the kind of war it now faced. Across the Pacific, American soldiers pushed forward with confidence. The M1 Garand gave them a powerful belief. They could win any firefight, and that belief spread faster than fear. When the tide of war finally turned against Japan completely, in the Philippines, in Iwo Jima, in Okinawa, the results were decisive and unstoppable. Every hill, every cave, every trench became a battleground where the Garand spoke louder than Japanese orders. As Japan's empire collapsed, even their most elite troops, the feared Special Naval Landing Forces, struggled to counter the American rifle, because no matter how fierce a warrior may be, a rifle that fires twice as fast decides the outcome, and so the M1 Garand didn't just defeat the Arisaka. It defeated an entire philosophy of war. By 1945, as the flames of conflict consumed the Pacific, Japan finally understood what American troops had carried from the beginning. Modern warfare belongs to the nation that fires first, fires faster, and never stops firing. The M1 Garand ensured that nation was the United States, and Japan would never forget the rifle that stunned their soldiers, destroyed their confidence, and helped rewrite the fate of World War II.